What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Larry Howard, Coach Proof, head strength conditioning coach here at DePaul University. And we are here with the AAPCA podcast. Today, we have a really special guest. He's the renowned, the guy. He's him when it comes to speed. Mr. like make Speedy Gonzalez speed. You know what I mean? Like he's that guy. Everybody knows that when you're wanting to get faster in the sports world, he's one of the prominent thought leaders, prominent coaches in this space. Les Spellman, how are you, my guy?
Man, I'm good. I love that was a great intro. I appreciate that.
Nah, man, I gotta give props, man. He's one of the greatest in the space, and you definitely want to make sure that you tap into what he's doing with Universal Speed School. He's definitely revolutionized my mind when it comes to speed.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna say, man, I feel privileged, man, because I know we're about to be in like draft season. Getting combine prep is crazy. So I know like that's like a real big, busy time for you.
Yeah.
How are things going for you right now? I really feel privileged to have you here.
No, I appreciate it. I feel bad because I miss your calls and everything, but no, it's good. I mean, honestly, like this year's a little crazy because we're doubling in size of athletes we're taking in and more staff. It's just more logistics. And as you know, like recruiting right now is just like mind blowing. Like, cause you have guys that are already signed to agents. You have guys that aren't signed to agents that are finding an agent. Logistics is hard. This is the harder part. The easier part is like when you start, cause then it's just your schedule. It's kind of like being in season. Like you kind of know your schedule and your rhythm. But right now it's a little bit of a grind. But yeah, it's good. It's going well.
How would you say you guys approach the recruiting process to get your athletes? I know sometimes people work with agents and things like that. How do you guys do you work with different schools?
Yes, all angles, and it changes every year. Now, previously I've like consulted with colleges, and then a lot of the athletes I was consulting with the school, I would, pull over. But now it's more just through the agents. Like I find agencies that I love and want to work with, and then lock in certain slots and then just roll from that. But I've also done it like directly from the athletes because we used to have like tons of camps around the country. And I had this database and I would tap in with the database here and there, just check in, see where guys are at. And I would recruit directly from that and then recruit them to an agency. But now it's a little bit harder to do that because the agents get to them relatively early in their process. I mean, I have a 16-year-old kid that's signed to one of the bigger agents now, and he'll probably be with that agency all the way through. So it just depends, but it's kind of like a cancer treatment. You throw everything at it. You don't know what's working, but one of them probably is. But yeah, I mean, the recruiting part is 100,000% relationships and authentic ones. Like if you don't have authentic ones, if you don't provide value, then it's tough. And, we've really worked on like what our pitch is, and it's not what you think it would be. It's actually pretty interesting. Shit, I'll just tell you. I mean, we're on it. So like everybody gets guys faster. Everyone. My pitch is basically we help you manage your first year in the NFL. So from not being on a team, training for combine, it's the only time you won't be on a team for a long time. So it's the time period where we need to focus on a few things. So health, performance, skill work, the mental side of it, nutrition, all that. And we basically fill that gap with resources and services to help you. And then obviously we get you faster, but then we prep you for your first year. So if you look at the percentage of guys that we have that start as a rookie, it's in the 85+% range. And we take guys and it's not because, obviously you get a first rounder, they're going to play, but sometimes no, because they're hurt. But our thing is like, when we had Jaden Daniels, for example, Bucky Irving, Mike Penix, like all those guys played as rookies, and Jonas Sanker this year played as a rookie, you go back even further, Joe Burrow played as a rookie. So it's really based around that. And then from like an actual combine perspective, like how fast guys are running, like there's a lot of good places to go. And I wouldn't say a negative thing about any of the top, 5 people in this space. And we all talk and we all share athletes, and I send people there all the time. But what we hang our hat on is we have an accurate prediction model of what you're going to run. And last year we averaged a 0.02 margin of error on our prediction versus what they actually ran, which is like very, very, very close. But yeah, that's it.
So we got to get into kind of the backstory of how we got here. I do have a lot of other questions when it comes to how you're building out your structure now, but I want to kind of just go backwards and just get a little bit of history on you. How did you get into this space? What led you to this space? Just give us kind of a backstory on Les.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories in here. Some of these stories are embarrassing, some are funny, some are crazy. And like the way that I think about stories is usually don't tell a story until time has passed and you're not embarrassed anymore, so you can talk about it freely. So some of these are wild. And depending on what setting we're at, like I might tell you a different story, like how it really connected. But since we're public here, okay, it basically was all this is not planned very well. Like I didn't sit down and write a 10-year plan, 5-year plan. I don't ever do that, to be honest. So what happened was I was in high school and I was like a very average athlete, and was at some point in my junior year, I was like, I don't think I'm going to play sports my senior year. So obviously, like naturally, if you don't play sports, like you start hanging out with a different group of people, start doing different things. And I was a little bit more on the wild side in high school. So I started hanging out and, staying out late, doing whatever. Long story short, I got in a really bad car accident, staying out late one night, partying with my friends. And in that car accident, I broke my femur in half and severed my bone, almost hit the artery, the artery in your next to your femur that would kill you. I was a quarter inch away from that. I got airlifted to the hospital, had emergency surgery, stuck in ICU for weeks, and they saved me from being amputated, but they put a metal pole down the middle of my leg. And they're like, dude, you're not going to run. So running's going to be hard. Walking will be hard. Like you're cooked. And at the same time, had a brain injury that prevented me from like I had to relearn how to read and write and do all that stuff. So I'm 17 years old and I'm looking at it from a perspective of like, all right, well, I have nothing to lose if I try to figure out how to run, how to walk, and do all these things. And I was pretty frustrated with like the system, occupational therapy. They're just teaching you how to wipe your butt and go to the bathroom. Like I'm like, dude, I could figure this out on my own. Like I'm good. So basically, I dropped out of school and I was doing online work. And at 17, it's my senior year, and I'm just like, all right, when my mom is gone from the house, I'm gonna try to teach myself how to stand up and sit down. So I would spend hours and hours and hours practicing trying to get up. And it took me like a couple weeks and I'm up. And then I started learning how to walk. Then I started learning how to like use the walker to go down the street, right? And eventually 18 months later, I'm running full speed. And about 20 months after the injury, I walked onto a Division I track team. And basically, I'm going from not walking, wheelchair, um, you know, addicted to painkillers and all that for a brief period of time, to now I'm running track Division I. So obviously my next thought in my mind is like, I'm going to the Olympics. Like, if I did all that, then I'm going to the Olympics. Yeah, like, okay, bet. So let's just go to the Olympics. But I realized at that point, like, college doesn't really develop speed in a lot of these athletes. It manages it. And the way that it's not our coach's fault, like the way the system is set up, there's 100 people on a team, can't individualize things. So I started looking elsewhere, started looking online, YouTube, and I'm 36. So YouTube at that time was like basics. So there's nothing on there. And I'm like, dude, there's a gap in this. There's no information about how to get faster. And at that point, I realized like, I think I'm going to coach, and I'm going to figure out when I'm done running track in college, like how to start coaching and how to figure out how to put more information out there for people that are in my situation. Like I was obsessed with that. So long story short, after I graduated, I started playing rugby randomly, ended up at the Olympic Training Center, not good enough, but I got asked to help out as a coach. And the first thing that I say is like, cool, I want to help out on performance, but I want to make it speed based. And that was my first job at 23. So I got very lucky that 2 years later,
from an accident to teaching yourself how to run to Division I to straight to rugby.
yeah,
Man,
rugby randomly.
that is something. What event did you run?
I ran the 100, 200.
Oh, so you were a
Yeah,
sprinter.
yeah. But remember, I had a metal femur, and I'm still in recovery phase. So even through college, like I'm in pain. I'm figuring out like how to manage that pain. At that point, like I had such willpower at that point. I could have done the Navy SEALs or whatever. Like I was going to do it, but it didn't mean I was good at it. Even in rugby, it wasn't great. And, but it exposed a gap for me in the industry that like there wasn't a lot of places to look outside of track and field. There's a couple key names that were doing stuff, but like there wasn't like it wasn't democratized. And I got lucky that my first role was working for a team that went to the Olympics 2 years later, and I went, and did that. So that's like the basic origin of like how I got into speed training. And yeah, we were lucky that our team went from one of the worst in the world to one of the best in the world in rugby and the Olympic space. So yeah, it was cool.
So you now have had a chance to work with the Olympic team. You had a chance to obviously train yourself coming from an injury. I mean, obviously, I've dealt with occupational. No knock to anyone who's listening to this, but I can tell you I understand the difference between return to performance and occupational therapy.
Yeah.
You've gone through all these different things. How did you educate yourself to become less Spellman today? Like, how did you get what resources did you pull into? What did you nerd out at to figure
Yeah.
out how you've developed this model that you started to implement now?
Yeah. So it's interesting because as an athlete, my identity was like fully wrapped up in positive and negatives of how I did that day. That meant that session, like if I had a bad session, I had a bad day. And my identity was fully wrapped up in me, trying to figure it out as an athlete. But in coaching, I didn't have that. Like I was just like, I don't care if you think I suck. It doesn't matter. Because in my mind, like I was thinking that I was gonna go back to playing and being an athlete again. Like I didn't like I thought coaching was like something you do if like you're just not athletic. So I'm like, all right, I'm not about to be a coach. Like these dudes are like overweight and like unhappy. And yeah, but long story short, obviously never went back to playing a sport again. But the beginning part, it was my pure ignorance of like not really giving a crap if I was good or not. And that allowed me to experiment both on myself, but also on the athletes in the population that I had. I was very lucky that in the beginning, I had Jeremy Fisher at the Olympic Training Center where we were training, Ralph Mann, who's a biomechanist, Dan Paff came through. So I had a lot of like very smart people that I would just copy paste their workouts and then put it into what I was doing. Literally, I would just go, okay, what they do today for warm up? Okay, that's what I'm doing today. And I didn't know any better. And then somewhere like right before the Olympics, I reached out to Jonas Dodu. And I was like, yo, he was doing the same thing I was doing with the England rugby that I was doing with US. And I reached out like, yo, I'm trying to learn from you. He's like, cool, pull up. So I had $800 in my account. I spent $700 on a round trip ticket and I went to England and I learned from Jonas. Yeah. So like it was kind of that, like just trial, error, trial, error, trial, error. At the same time, I was working at Velocity Sports Performance. So I was working with kids. And that was like my testing ground. Like I would just try everything with the kids. That worked. That didn't work. But my mom's a teacher. She's an art teacher. And I would always go to class with her and I would watch how she taught things. And so I kind of had like a idea of like how to work in a class setting, a group setting in front of people, how to, control a room, determine the energy in the room. So those skills are the things that I was like trying to be good at in the beginning. Like the workout part was the workout, but like I was trying to, develop the session flow and the design and the energy of the session and the flow. Like that was my focus. And the workouts were probably terrible if looking back. I kind of worked my way into better workouts, but people like thought I knew what I was doing. Like to be fair, like I remember having conversations with our coach and he was telling me like how well we were doing and how fast they looked. And I remember thinking like, I didn't really do anything, but I'll take it. But if you came down to
It's
watch
like
my session, it looked like
good.
I had that thing like color coded cones and, the energy and the whistle and I'm yelling and it's hype and I don't know what I was doing, man, but I probably still don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. Like,
I mean,
but
it's a lot of experimentation you see in
yeah,
this sports. I mean, a lot of people say, well, if you do this, I mean, it's a lot of, all right, this should work,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I have no idea. And it's like, cool. So I was just testing things out. And, you know, that situation I told you with Jonas, I did to Stu McMillan, I did to Dan Paff, I did to anybody I could find that had a little bit of knowledge. And I love reading, so I was reading consistently. But obviously, like I didn't go to school for this. I went to school for communications, and
Me too.
which,
You know, it's funny. I
yeah,
actually went to
for
school.
real,
I went to DePaul. I got my degree in communications. So
yeah. And
it's
you're a great
complete.
communicator.
But you know what? I think that helps us
Yeah,
because I think like that's one of the I think that's one of the most critical things that we don't really talk about in this space is how to actually communicate.
for sure.
And if you're over communicating or if you're over coaching, things of that nature, how that can potentially confuse the athlete, how to progressively communicate
Yeah,
certain things to them. But
yeah,
that's sidebar. But yes, that's funny that you say that because I actually
dude.
am communications.
Communications, and I remember I took a screenwriting class, like a how to write a script for a film. Best class I ever took, changed my life. I'm like, shoot, develop a purpose and what it is, and then what are the pieces and how do you tell the story? And I'm like, cool. Now, this, at the same time, when I was graduating college, entering into the Olympic space, we had this really cool app come out called Instagram. Shoot, I'm like the
I
first
was
person on
around when
Instagram.
Facebook started. And that just
Yeah,
tell you how it
exactly.
is.
Right. So I'm like one of the first people on Instagram, and I'm like, shoot, let me post my dinner tonight. Let me post the ice bath. Let me put, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm posting every day. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I see you guys doing this. Let me try this out. And I kind of grew with Instagram. And, in the beginning, when videos came out, shoot, I'm putting up a video every day. Here's what I did today. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, like, people are starting to pay. I got 15 likes. We're on it. We're good. Yeah. Well, you get 100
Just like
likes
need a
back
couple
then.
comments, couple emojis.
Don't let me get 100 likes back then. Oh my God. I'm rolling. I might as well have thought I was famous then. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm still in the same mindset I was in then. It's like, who has more information, understanding, knowledge than I do? I'm going to go talk to him. I don't view anything as competition. I just did a podcast with Exos, and we're starting together against each other in a way in combine. It's not against each other because I don't believe in that. But like, I have no like barriers or walls. I don't fear people, none of that stuff. So I always looked at it as like, man, we're in the service industry. You know, I've worked in the service industry before. The better service you can deliver, the more money you'll make. And I've always thought about it that way. We don't tip in strength conditioning, but you move up when you do well. How can I learn how to? So I'm learning from people that have great personalities. I'm like, I'm weak in that side. So let me work on that. So it's always been that.
One of my mentors, who I worked with under Coach Woodfin when we were working in the USFL, his name's John Cook. He said, "There's nothing wrong with being a copycat as long as you're copying the right cat." And
Hell yeah.
he always told me that. So I've been fortunate. I've kind of taken that approach too, similar to you. I got a chance to
Yeah.
go down and uh, I spent a couple of days with Rusty Witt down at Tulane. I think he's about to go
Yeah.
to Florida. Hopped on the phone with Kurt Hester before he passed away. Just
Man.
like, hey, can you just give me whatever, and let's just chop it up. Let's just learn.
Yeah.
And it was so much I was able to kind of pull from that conversation. I'm thankful that he was willing, even as he was battling cancer, to hop on the phone with me and just say, hey,
Facts.
you're a young coach. This is something you should look at. Look at this, look at that. I mean, he just dropped so many gems. So to me, I always try to pay it forward too in the same way with others. But ultimately, I'm still growing. Obviously, as a head, I'm looking like who can I go around and who can I learn from, and then who can I pass it on to,
Yeah.
to be able to just continue this thing going. So
Yeah.
you've now gotten through all of these different things in terms of gone with Stu, an Altus. You've got a chance to go to all these different places, ascertaining all of this knowledge and all of these different skill sets. What drew you specifically to combine? Like, there are a lot of athletes, obviously, you could have worked with. You've been in the Olympic Training Center. You got a chance to see many different athletes. What specifically made you decide, you know what, I do want to carve out a space for me with football, specifically the guys who are trying to make a name for themselves in the NFL?
Yeah. Well, I started to realize like, okay, I did the Olympic stuff. I worked with teams. I did the private stuff. I worked with athletes. But there wasn't like, yeah, you could get someone faster, but there wasn't always like a win-loss column for that. You know what I mean? And it could make you lazy because working with certain athletes, like youth athletes, developing athletes, anything you do will make them better. So like, I don't know, I got to a point where I'm like, well, don't really want to coach track because that's a skill set. Like, I think people don't understand how hard it is to coach track. Like, you got to be one hell of a coach and these coaches are two-man staffs with 100 people sometimes. Like it's a grind, but like, no offense to them, I just didn't want to be a track coach. And I'm trying to find ways to validate what I'm doing. And to me, the NFL Combine was a clear win-loss column. You either got better or you got worse, and everyone's watching. And it was enough pressure and stress for me to be like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna go figure that out. And what I did and how I got into the space is that I was in San Diego. And at the time, there's a guy named Ryan Flaherty in San Diego. And Ryan, I think, had just signed a deal with Nike or was about to sign with Nike, but he was the man and still is the man. But he had Jameis Winston, he had Marcus Mariota, he had just done Johnny Manziel, and this is all in San Diego. And there was a quarterback coach named George Whitfield that's kind of like attracting these people to the city. So I'm like, cool. I'm going to go find out where they are. Instagram, 2 or 3 years old. Let me see where they're at. Oh, that looks like Santa Fe Christian High School. Okay, bet. I'm popping up there with some water bottles and a cooler. Y'all need water? Y'all need towels? They're like, who are you? I'm
Hey,
like, man,
that's a grind.
I'm just here to help. I'm just here to help. I went every single day. Every single day. So finally George comes up to me. He's like, bro, you're here every day. You're helping out. You're grabbing footballs that we throw that miss, and you're running over here and you got energy. Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do for work? How are you free during the middle of the day? I was like, well, I work down at the Olympic Training Center. And George is like, man, like, that's pretty cool. What do you do down there? I was like, well, I'm a coach. Oh, that's dope. What kind of coach? Well, I coach speed. And George looks at me, takes a pause, and he goes, so you're an Olympic speed coach? And I was like, yeah, I guess I am. Shoot. He said, you've done an Olympics. I'm about to. Well, shoot, come on over here. And all of a sudden, he started jumping me in. The next year, he was like, I got 2 athletes for you. The next year, I had 18. The next year, I had 28. And all of a sudden, it just started rolling. Yeah. So, like, to me, it was an easy win-loss column test, see if I have nuts, go out there, put everything on the line,
Yeah,
have an agent on the other line ready to curse you out if somebody messes up. I needed that stress and pressure to grow.
that's bold. That's bold. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, taking those types of risks and being bold is really where a lot of people find themselves growing. Get into where you're at now, because now you're at a point where, you have a lot more back end stuff that you're doing, I'm sure. How did you go about building a team? Because I'm sure you have a team. I know, Les, you don't do all of this by
Hell
yourself.
no.
I was about to
Hell
say,
no.
like, there's no way that you could be managing from a recruitment standpoint. I mean, you got a full machine. And to think, like, again, you're doing podcasts with Exos. I'm familiar with Exos. I know they have a well-oiled machine and some money behind them.
Yeah.
So how did you go about building your team and getting everything together so that you would be able to create this ecosystem for your athletes? And what does that ecosystem look like now? Like, I know you focus on the speed, but do you have that full, because I know Exos offers, the PT and all that other stuff. You have like partners you've partnered with and strategic people.
Yeah. So, the first thing I think for everybody to understand is that Combine's not like a moneymaker for anyone. Like, it could cost money if you want to do it right, just because the people and expertise you bring in, and it's a short time frame. It's definitely doesn't pay your bills for the year. I do know people that live on Combine, but yeah, you got to have high volume and numbers and all that stuff, which presents another problem. So Combine's not the business, and on the business side, we have like, I want to say it's about 15 people now that, more than that. Closer, yeah, around 15 people we employ. And really my hiring process is pretty simple. You want to find what you're not good at. And I know what I'm good at, which is on-field coaching. Every other aspect of life, I'm not good at. That's why I have a wife. That's why I have an accountant. That's why I don't know how to
Amen,
do.
brother.
I don't know how to do a lot of those things, and I'm not even gonna try. I know enough to know that I'm not good. So the point is that like I started noticing early on in my career, like, man, I'm terrible at collecting money, or I need a front desk. Okay, boom. Or like you started working those things out. So okay, so if you go back, and this is how, like, to be honest, like this is how bad I am at the business side of it. I wasn't even good at hiring people. So I had to hire somebody that could hire people. You know what I mean?
You
So
know,
that was my first
higher.
hire. That was my first hire. I'm going to hire somebody that can hire people, because I don't even know how to hire people, and I don't even know how to hire you. So you tell me how to hire you, literally. And he went and hired, we built a software. He hired a CTO. This is Drew's Wires. He went and he got sales development people. He went and got business development reps. He went and got, uh, I don't know, everybody. And then I'm like, you're in charge. You tell me what to do. That's how we grew. Now, like, there's several parts to the business, but like one of them is like software based, universal speed rating. We have 200 something speed labs around the country, 100,000 athletes, 500,000 tests. So that's a one wing that's rolling. And then we have like a development wing that is developing youth athletes in camps and clinics and daily training environments. And then we have our combine, which is like our play in consulting, I guess you could say. But like the combine piece, you do have a very specialized group of humans. And for combine, it's like bringing in SEAL Team 6. And all 6 of them dudes, I know there's more than 6, but like let's say SEAL Team 6 is 6 dudes. All 6 of them got different specialties, and all 6 of them are killers. That's the way I build my team. I want to find the killers in that group. So Danny Foley, killer. He does the health stuff. Couldn't tell you what he does. He does it though. You know,
He's just good
You
at it.
got Cece, killer. What is she a killer at? She's an incredible coach, but an incredible person. She brings a personal side to it that builds family. Then you got Dylan, who was my co-founder and also my first intern, and he's got a brain bigger than all of ours. Perfect. And then we just hired Meg Young from Seattle Sounders, and she's kind of like the connecting piece between everything. And then we have like 8 other coaches, but they all are killers and they're all specialists. And my philosophy with it is like, look, no one's making significant amounts of money during combine, but it's a launching pad for whatever you want to build. So I have 3 pillars to combine. I have health, I have performance, and I have business. I added that third one after I realized that people were going broke working for me doing combine. So I'm like, look, I will partner with you on anything business related that I can help with, and we're going to use the combine to launch it. And that's what we do. So we're launching a former athlete program with Dusty. Danny and I are launching an elite athlete program for our elite guys that are training and consulting. Bennett and I are launching a youth athlete development program. We got CC a business and OC. Every single person has something. And what we're trying to do is look at it from an economic standpoint, is like, I don't want a bunch of people to work for me and be employees and do all that, unless you're building the software piece. And then, yes, I do. But from a human standpoint, I want to build your thing, and I want to be just as invested in your thing as you are in mine. And I want to provide you equal value in building that. And that's kind of where I'm at with everything. So 2026, it's like we got a couple new things pumping out, but it's really about them. Like it's not about me. It's not about how much money I'm making. It's like, how can I help you guys and partner with you to build your thing and use this combine 8 weeks as a launching pad for it.
It's awesome, man. Everybody eats. That's great, man.
Everybody. Yeah.
Everybody eats. My final question for you, I would say, is what do you see the future looking like? I mean, you've built this thing. You have obviously an ingrained grind that you have every year, obviously with, combine and what you're doing. Obviously, you have your educational content and the different things that you're doing. What do you see? I mean, I know you told me last year. You told me a little earlier you don't do 5-year plans and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But if you had to say what's next,
Yeah. I have no idea. It's funny because like people ask me that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like I got 3 kids. It's kind of like asking like, what's your kid going to be like when they're 10? Man,
I don't know
I
what they're gonna be
I
like
don't
when they're
know.
11.
I don't know what my kid's gonna be like today when they come home. I have no idea. So for me, like I have 3 kids, I have a wife, I have a family. Like that's my real focus. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help as many people as possible live their dreams, and that's coaches and athletes. I have 3 different customers typically. It's youth athletes that are developing, it's elite athletes that are trying to make a lot of money, and it's coaches that are trying to help people. And the ways that we help all 3 people changes consistently as much as technology changes and social media changes. And sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no idea. And then Stu will call me and be like, hey, have you thought about this? And I switch everything I was thinking. And yeah, I don't have a huge plan. Now, I will tell you, like, from a goal perspective right now, we're trying to test 1 million athletes. We're at 500,000, and that took 16 or 17 months. I'm trying to get 1 million by the end of 2026, and we've done that through camp partners and other people. And I mean, why would I do that? Well, I've contextualized how fast is for a good amount of people in the US, and then we're going to take that worldwide. But I could tell you how fast a 12-year-old is. I could tell you who the fastest 12-year-old is right now. I could tell you where they live, what sport they play, and I have their mom's email. So like that is a major key for me. And then also it's finding more opportunities to develop athletes that can't afford to develop. And I don't want this process to be something where it's highly dependent on how much money your parents make. I want to find ways to democratize it and make it simpler and easier, which is probably, if you're an investor, you're like, oh, I'm not going to invest in less now. Cool. Because I don't think that this is meant to be a pure business model. If you took money out of this and you just looked at the people you're helping is a small demographic of humans that may not need that college scholarship. And we're trying to find ways to help a wider range and a wider network of people. Because if you think about it, sports probably saved your life. It saved my life, saved my brother's life and my sister's life. And without sports, probably wouldn't be on this podcast with you. And the easiest way to stay in sports is to be healthy and perform well, and you'll have confidence to do your sports. Finding ways to tap into a deeper demographic of people is my key target in life. And how I'm going to get there, I have no idea. How I'm going to pay for it, I have no idea. But God has never allowed me to not survive and eat. I've never missed a meal in my life. So yeah, I think we'll be good.
Can people find you?
Oh man, don't. No, I'm just playing. Probably Instagram and Twitter, Les7 Spellman. Those are probably the easiest ways. But yeah, if you know me, DM every single person back. I've never, I mean, you're probably listening like, man, you missed my DM. I'll get to it. Like I'll literally DM every single person back.
He does. I
Yeah,
will
I
say
hop
that.
on the phone with whoever. Email's a little bit crazy, so I'll just give you those 2. But yeah, you hit me, I hit you back. We talk. Yeah, it's easy.
Les, I appreciate this. Thank you so much for your time. And we're going to come back for part 2. All right,
Let's
man.
do it.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
What's up? It's your boy, Larry Howard, Coach Proof, and I want to remind everybody that the African American Performance Coaches Association, AAPCA, is hosting its 4th annual AAPCA conference. This will be taking place Saturday, February 21st, 2026 at the Atlanta Marriott Northwest at Galleria in Atlanta, Georgia. This conference brings together top performance coaches, sports scientists, and strength and conditioning professionals from across the country for a full day of education, connection, and professional growth. You can expect high performance workshops, keynote speakers, leadership development, and vendor exhibits from some of the top brands in training and recovery. If you are serious about developing as a coach and expanding your network, this is an event you do not want to miss. You want to make sure that this is on your calendar. Again, Saturday, February 21st, 2026. Make sure you be there.